Hi, good evening. My name is Vineet Arya, and I'm the coach for an hour today for all you guys. Right? I physically stay and come to India, uh, and I'm staying in a city called Bangalore, which is in the southern part of India. As regards my professional career, I have been a hardcore marketeer for past 23 years, out of which about 4 years has been in the startup ecosystem, uh, more specifically in India only. And today I'm trying going to answer as many questions as we can within the stipulated time that has been given to me about entrepreneurship, marketing, fundraising, etc. Uh, so I'm pretty excited. This is my first time that I'm addressing in EA community, and I hope at the end of the session it'll be yay yay. Can we have the first question, please? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a question from the list that we have. Uh, and is the first question: is there one size fits all marketing for startups? Are there better and exclusive strategies for social enterprise or a tech startup? Well, there is no one size fits all in marketing, especially for a startup. See, please understand, startups are the most dynamic companies. They are not like established companies which have a lot of established processes, systems, and all that, right? So in startups, there can never be a one size fit all kind of a scenario, right? Uh, they, just like the way startups evolve every 6 months, or the way they pivots, the marketing has to also cope up with that. If you try to fix or fit something which has worked in one startup and you think that it'll also work in your startup, I don't think so that's a right approach. Yes, you can always take a learnings from other companies or other startups as to what they've done good in from the marketing standpoint, but you have to customize, tailor made, depending on what you're trying to do, what stage of the company you are in, what stage of the startup growth you are in, what is your target audience, and what is your product. See, keep in mind, marketing is all about what is your product and what kind of a target customers or audience that you're trying to reach out to. The audience or target customers will always vary from country to country, region to region, city to city. It cannot be the same all across the globe, right? So I don't think so. In my personal opinion, there's nothing called one size fits all in marketing, especially for the startups. Are there better exclusive strategies for social enterprise or tech startup? Yes. Tech startup will be, again, it depends on whether you're in a B2B space or you are in a B2C space. There are exclusive or different, let's not call the word exclusive, but let's try and say uh, different, strategies for social enterprises or a tech startup, because the objective is totally different. The target is totally different. The product is totally different, right? The gestation period in a tech startup will be totally different compared to a product or a durable, consumer durable, or a e-commerce or app-based startup, right? So it is absolutely, um, you know different way. Now it is very difficult for a person like me to comment what is the difference unless we go deep inside the product, we go deep inside the in the space. But overall, in a social enterprise, you have to ensure that you don't do a communication in a very commercial way. Similarly, in the tech startup, you have to always talk about how technology is going to re- help in to scale the business of the customers or the users who adopt it, right? compared to a non-tech or a non-social enterprise where you're talking of utility, right? Where is everyday convenience, what kind of a product they are doing. So the approach in a consumer compared to a social enterprise compared to a tech will always be totally different, right? Then if there are differences, what are the constant non-negotiable ways of marketing for small scale enterprises? uh, See, some of the things which I always say for any startup or a small scale enterprises, you know, once you start your business, right, make sure that there are certain mandatory stuff, right? Having a good website, right? That is one. I mean, everybody knows it today. I mean, I don't think so. You know, that's something that any I should even waste my time in talking about why should need to have a website. But once you have a website, what are we doing to ensure that lot many people come to that website, right? Which means you have to use lot many social media channels to talk about it, to talk about your product, to talk about the industry, talk about your company, so that lot many people start looking for you. And website is one place where you would want all the people to come and get the information. So but just having a good website is not enough. You have to ensure that goodness of the website is spread, so that people know about it. You might have a very good perfume or a body spray sitting at your home. Unless you wear it and go out when the people know it, how, then what's the point having the perfume, right? So similarly, if you have a good, very technology oriented website, nice. But how do you promote it now? You having to promote it means you have to promote it by social media channels. It can be Twitter, it can be LinkedIn, it can be Facebook, it can be Reddit, it can be Quora, it can be Tumblr, Medium. There are so many ways of doing it, right? Keep on writing. These are all free channels. You don't have to spend any money on that, right? Yes, you can also spend a little bit of money and maybe have a good SEO so that the searchability of the engine of your website goes up. So the bottom line is these are something which are non-negotiable, which are very low cost, right? Which everybody should start to make it. Yes, as the startup goes up, the revenue goes up, spend money, hire a team, scale it up, spend money on Google, spend money on Facebook, spend money on Instagram, and promote it. So I have one question from Ricardo, right? How would you approach budgeting for marketing expenses? Right. So I have a question here, Ricardo. Why do you need call as a marketing expenses? Why why didn't I get this question saying it? How do you approach budgeting for marketing investments? Right. So the reason I'm trying to say is that we have to think from an entrepreneur that not marketing is not always an expense, right? Yes, from the finance angle, from the balance sheet, when you do a balance sheet or profit and loss statement, obviously you have to kind of fit in where this money will be budgeted, but that's leave it for a chartered accountant to do that. But as an entrepreneur, and I'm telling you, where this is something which I've really seen with lot many entrepreneurs. They said, Vineet, you know what, marketing is an expense. I said, how come would you say this is an expense? Whatever you do now, it may not get you the customers tomorrow, but it may just, you know make you doing something that may give you effect maybe after 6 months or a year, right? Brand, when you build a brand, it does not happen that you become a number one brand like Pepsi or Coke of the world or Walmart of the world or Amazons of the world. But yeah, it takes years and years to do it. So what these companies would have done 30 or 40 years back, they're getting the benefit now, right? So I would say it's like a long-term investments, right? So budgeting now, just to answer the very straightforward question from Ricardo saying that how would you approach budgeting for a marketing expense? See, first of all, take out a piece of paper and write it down. What are the most critical and mandatory expenses to be done? Uh, yeah. So it's like, let's say, okay, I need to start from an SEO, right? So which means that I have to do on-page optimization and off-page optimization, right? So on-page optimization, now maybe any of your team member would be able to do it. There is no cost for it. But when you do off-page optimization, you might have to actually go out and buy some backlinks. Let's say you have to talk to a blogger and say that, hey, can you write about me and then give me a backlink for you, or you talked about the online media. So these are the things. So you have to list down the expenses which are very critical to start off with. Then go to the second part, which is saying that, okay, I'm now going to do, for example, uh, performance marketing. When I say performance marketing, which means in the sense that, I'm going to spend money on Google, I'm going to spend money on Facebook, I'm going to spend money on Instagram, I'm going to spend money on YouTube, and on a daily basis I'll measure, if I'm spending that money, how many clicks, how many users, how many people are coming to my website, and how many people actually land up being my customers, right? So this becomes the performance part. Now the third part is when you say that, okay, I'll do content marketing, I'll do some kind of a brand building, which may not immediately give me the results, but yeah, I'm doing this. Why? Because I'll continuously do this, and I'll try and get the return or rewards maybe a year down the line. So for that, you have to have fixed amount of money, right? Because performance marketing, as I said earlier, will give you the immediate results. So now performance marketing, you can increase the budget and decrease the budget depending on how much your pocket allows. But in terms of what I call as long-term marketing, you have to have a fixed amount of money, right? Allocate that money, saying that, this is a money that I'm going to make sure going to spend every month. It can be, let's say, $1,000 a month, or it can be $2,000 a month, which is going to be stagnant. It's not going to change up and down. Performance marketing, you can spend $10,000. You get the result, you spend $12,000. You get the result, you spend $15,000. You don't get the result, come back to $10,000, right? So bucketize into three parts. One is mandatory, wherein it's like you can't survive without it. Second is performance, where you will actually measure what's an ROI. And third is a long-term marketing, which I always call as marketing investments, where you have to have a fixed bucket and make sure that you don't continue spending that at least for 6 months to a year time. Can I see any more questions, or can I just take some questions from my side? All right, so I have another questions. When is the best time to look for investments as a business? Investment in a business is, there is no good time, there is no bad time. It all depends on what stage of the business you are in. Okay, I would recommend that try and delay the investment as much as you can. See, what happens is, if you try and look for investments at a very, very early stage, you have to really lose, or what I lose is not the right word, but you have to really shell out a higher chunk of equity, because you are young and the company is young. Not much revenue is coming in, but it also depends on how much bootstrapped can you afford to be, right? Typically investors will try and take advantage of that part and say that, hey, the more early that you look for an investment, they'll ask you 20%, 30%, 40% of your stake. If you really believe in what you're doing and you think that there is a niche that you create into the market, stretch as far as you can, because if you have a solid top line revenue and a bottom line revenue, you will be in a better position to negotiate. Okay, if the revenues are not coming, then investor is in a better position to negotiate, right? So my sense is, at least in the early growth stage, if you have the best time to look for an investment is that if you have at least 1 year of continuous revenues coming into your company from the top line point of view, and if you're able to show some bottom line profits, net profits, perfect, that would be the best. But at least 12 months of 12 months after the product is launched and you have users using your product and they're paying you for it, would be the best time to start looking for angel or seed investments, not the VC investments. Okay, so I have another question which is how to deal with the share dilution. This question is asked by Mohsin Ayman. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Mohsin, you have, I mean, it's something that you can't run away from, right? So if you are looking for investments from the investor, he will definitely ask for a share in the company, he will ask for a board seat in the company, he will expand the board of the company. There is no way out now. It is typically like how you negotiate, right? The way people negotiate the salaries when they shift jobs, you have to look in the somewhat like in the same fashion. You will ask for 1 million or half a million of investments from an investor, and he will say, okay, in return I will ask this, or I'll give you some debt funds, or I'll give you some loan, or I'll extend you a credit line and against this much, or he'll ask some royalties. So there's a lot of options that the investor may put in front of you to kind of take and the shares. So you as an entrepreneur have to really negotiate and come to a point wherein you are also comfortable. And please keep in mind that the company has to go to 5 to 6 rounds beyond that. So if you, let's say, give 30 to 40% in the first round itself, then there's very little room for you to get more people down the line, because the one thing that every investor will ask on the first day is what is his exit plan, right? And if you say he can't exit till the third or fourth round, the chances that he may not even agree, because the only objective for all the investors is to make money, right? And that's there for. You have to be really hard, but it all depends on what is a product that you have, what is a market acceptability. If it is good, you may stand firm, and if you think that it's not that good, well, you have to leave it. But there is no thumb rule, what should be the dilution in the first round or the second round. Then I have another question from Altisela. Is it wrong to scale without investors? Absolutely not. I would be the most happiest person on the earth if you're able to scale without investors, right? I'll give you a very small thing. What is investors to the company? It's like when you're staying alone, you enjoy that freedom. When you get married, then you have a husband or a wife staying with you. Then you have kids. Then more people come and stay in your home. Then imagine then in-laws also start staying with you in your home. How would you feel? You'll not feel nice. It's the same way in the company. You're an entrepreneur, you're alone, you start your own company. When you get one investor, two investor, three investor, which means more and more outsiders are coming and now sitting inside your company as a board and telling you what to do, right? Would you like that situation? You won't, right? Similarly, that you don't want all of your relatives to stay with you, and you lose your privacy. It's like the same way in the company, right? It's definitely much advisable if you're able to scale without the investors. What investors bring onto the table, but that doesn't mean that in getting investors on board is a bad thing. No, what investors also help you is scaling up faster. They'll help you external connects. They'll try and take your business to a different territories or regions where you're not able to do yourself. They can also be an extended arm in expanding your business to different scale, increase a product line and all that. So which may or may not be possible with every individual, right? So it's logically, yes, there are advantages of scaling without an investor, but also getting an investor can also be a boon for your company. I have a question, another from Claire. How can an entrepreneur assign value to each social media follower and turn them into a real customer? See, there are two. You may have many social media followers, and it may not be possible for everybody to convert them into a customer, right? So, see, the people in social media have the tendency to follow you not because you're selling a product. They may also follow you because the way you communicate, the tone that you use, or it's just that the kind of information that you're providing on the social media platform, which doesn't mean that they will always be a customer. So first of all, you have to keep in mind that all followers cannot be your customer, correct? But the way the social media channel works, the more the followers, the chances that whatever you try and put it up, the reach will be very high, right? So you so getting more followers means that you are reaching out to many people. However, what you can do is you can try giving some offers at different point of time only exclusively to your followers. So for example, you have 10 followers in Instagram and 20 in Facebook. So you may have a different offer running in Instagram and different offer for running in Facebook, and measure which are the offers that people jump on it, right? And maybe it so happens that 5% discount coupon in Instagram may work very well, whereas a 10% discount coupon on Facebook may not work very well. Secondly, you can also ask each of your followers to, if they're not buying the product or they're not subscribing to your services, is there somebody in the friends and family whom they can refer, or they can spread the word, and you can still give them something because they're being like an extended salespeople, right? So use them beyond selling a customer, so they can be a good referral point, they can be good ambassadors, they can be good influencers for you, right? They can even help you to spread your product or places where you cannot go right stuff. So you have to figure it out, who are your adopters, who are your influencers, and who can be your extended salespeople. But the crucial point is more followers uh, means the higher reach. Higher reach in turn means that you're communicating through lot many people, which increases the chances of in future getting more revenue for your company. uh, I have another question from Fanny. What are some of the most useful digital marketing tools? uh, if you search this particular line in Google, you will have flood of answers, right? There's so many digital marketing tools that and today I'm kind of losing the count on what kind of digital marketing tools that we use. But more than the digital marketing tools, I would say use a very good and a robust CRM tool, right? I'm in India, so we use a couple of very nice CRM tools which have been developed by the Indian entrepreneurs, right? I'm not too sure about each and every country what kind of tools that they're available, but have something in a CRM tool which you have to evaluate, which is able to collect all the data that you're getting from marketing funnel to a one place, and then you can do an analysis of it, right? But if you ask me this one question, Fanny, what are some of the most useful digital marketing tools? To be very frank, it is so very difficult to answer which tool works well in which company and which region, right? Because the world is so wide and so spread out. It may not happen that one tool works here and one tool doesn't work here. For example, they might that now I've seen a lot of these AI based marketing tools which are trying to come up. I still haven't tested them, but in India, for example, the place where I am, we are still not we are still slightly far away from that, because we are very different compared to Europe and the US, right? So I would, unless I see what kind of a business that you're in, I will then be able to comment or recommend. But just by giving a halo answer is not right in this forum. Then I have another question saying that from Egypt. How can I deal with a big partner if we looking to make offline campaign together and we haven't budget? No, I didn't understand this question, Abdullah. If that is is that a question saying that how can I deal with a partner if you're looking when you're trying to make an offline campaign together, but you don't have a budget like the big one? So when you say partner, is that a partner in your company, or you're talking to another competitor who's a big brother in the industry and he's got deep pockets than him? Well, it's a David versus Goliath story, because I didn't understand the question correctly. So I'm just going to make an assumption and saying that if you have another company in the same field who's much bigger and big deeper pockets, right? Don't take them head on, because they're going to eat you up, right? Right. So what I would recommend is, if you're doing an offline campaign, right, try and go to those pockets where people are not very happy with them, or you think that you can do some kind of a guerrilla marketing by doing a very evolved BTL campaign, wherein you do a lot of these road shows, a lot of these small one-to-one marketing contact programs, right? But be very, very careful, because they have a much bigger brand than yours, right? But I would say go to the pockets where you find people are not very happy, or their sales are slightly down in that particular region. Correct. Uh, then I have a question from Edgar. What is the best way to obtain a startup capital? Uh, Edgar, I'm not sure which country do you belong to, but every country has their own startup ecosystem, right? That ecosystem exists because of two things. One is the support given by the government, the local authorities. If they have a startup capital, or the government is giving some grant or something like that, please get yourself enrolled in that and follow the procedures. Get to the qualification criteria, and probably you'll end up getting some money, right? Second is done by the private investors, right? So where they create a small ecosystem of there, and then they try and fund it to various you know entrepreneurs, basis the idea, basis the growth that they are doing. So you have to probably go to a lot of these startup pitch events, right? Go pitch your story there, go talk about what you're trying to do, and get the eyes or the attention from the various seed investors or an angel investors, right? uh, so participate in a lot of these startup events, community events, pitch sessions, which are done by a lot of these communities, associations, local bodies, private bodies, right? And be a member for that. If it requires, go join an accelerator, because accelerators also help you in promoting you to a various pitch events, or startup entrepreneurs meet, right? So be very socially active, right? Both on the offline space and the online space. Connect with as many people, participate in a lot of the events. That is the basic mantra for all of you guys to obtain the startup capital. I have Ozel from Pakistan. What is the best way to secure a grant for a startup that is working for the UN's SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals? Uh, I'm not too sure about how the UN funding happens, but I believe that UN can give you grants if you are directly working for them. Uh, but it'll be very, I'll be very naive to answer these questions, because I'm not sure about how the government in Pakistan is promoting the startups, or what grants or what funds that they have set up on the sustainable or social media side. But maybe you can check. Every country, I believe, have a lot of these VC companies or venture capitalist companies or angel investors who are very, very pro towards social entrepreneurship, and they actually promote entrepreneurs from the social sector side and go pitch to them. But if I'm able to, I'm not very, very sure of what I'm talking about, but if you are working with United Nations on Sustainable Development Goals, I'm sure you will definitely get some financial and monetary support from United Nations funds itself. All right, so do we have any more questions, or I can pick up question of my own? It seems that I have to pick up a question on my own. So I have a question. All right, okay. So in these times that everything is digital, should marketing just focus on digital marketing? This is a one question that I probably answer every day, because I'll tell you one thing. In digital marketing, the good thing about digital marketing is very easy to enter, and very easy to exit also, right? So you don't have to really think loud. You don't have to really have a lot of money in your pocket to start a digital marketing, right? Since today the world is becoming very small because everybody's connected digitally, it makes sense that first step should be to start digital marketing, only to ensure that you are present digitally, and it is easy for all the people to know you. Offline is something that you have to really invest, and you cannot do offline, let's say, for a shorter period of time. Yeah, you have to do a sustainable offline campaign to make some visibility. And I'm assuming, and it is a fair assumption as well, that in most of the countries, the offline inventories of marketing are pretty expensive, right? Putting up a billboard is far more expensive than doing a native ad campaign or a Facebook ad campaign, right? So in this world where everybody is digitally connected through mobile phones, through internet, through social media channels, I think it is makes sense that we should be present digitally. Uh, you can easily enter into it. You don't have to really create a lot of infrastructure. You don't have to really create a huge team. You don't have to really have a big bank balance or a deep pockets to do it. You can even start digital marketing with $5,000. But when it comes to offline, it requires much larger thinking, much bigger strategy, much bigger investments, much bigger budget planning, right? And unfortunately, in offline, one of the biggest disadvantages in offline is by the time you realize when it's not giving you returns, you would have already gone too far and spent a lot of money. In digital marketing, maybe even week or 10 days, you'll know how is it proving out to you guys. So I think that, uh, it is very easy to enter digital marketing, and it's very important to be in digitally world. Yes, offline also pays you very well, but be very cautious, be very careful, have a deep thinking, have a very evolved marketing strategy before even you initiate offline campaigns. All right, I have Aisha Ali. What are some of the best social media tools? Some in depth on SEM. There are a lot of social media. See, I would say, take all the social media separately. Take Facebook separately. Take Instagram separately. Take Facebook separately. Take Quora separately. Take Reddit separately. Right. Um, Hootsuite is one of the most widely used social media marketing tool, right? But I would say that every social media, for example, I will give you, I don't know how people in Uganda are, but Instagram um, is still not as widely used or popular in India as what is Instagram is in probably US or any part of the Europe. However, the rate of growth of Insta users in India is far higher than Europe and US, right? So it also depends on what uh, which channel is being more widely used in which country. Facebook is very wide used in our country where I come from, right? So that's why I'm saying you have to understand what are the demographics of the country, which are the social media channels that being widely used by the people. Take one channel independently and deal with it independently, right? You may so decide that, out of the 6 7 8 social media channels, you might decide that, okay, it might be wise for me to concentrate on the top three, right, which you can do it individually without using any social media marketing tool. But if you ask me one question, Hootsuite has been something which is very widely used, which is very easy to use, and one of the best, right? And some in-depth on SEM, search engine marketing. See, what is search engine marketing? The word search says that there is an intent, right? If I am looking for certain information on Google or in the internet, which means that I am wanting that particular product or service now. Otherwise, I will not be searching for it. Now, if I am searching for it and the companies don't come up in front of me as an option, then there are chances that the companies are losing me as a customer, right? So intent is there when a user is there searching for some product or service on internet. So you have to ensure that you are there, and that is why it is called search engine marketing, right? Which means search and there is an engine, and then you're trying to market that, right? So it is very important that you select the right set of keywords, so that it can be a short tail keywords or a long tail keywords, so that at least when people are finding or looking for that kind of a stuff on the net, you are one among the options for him, preferably in the first 10 search results, right? This will get you a initial set of customers, and probably at a very affordable cost. All right, so I have another question from Edgar. uh, what is the best option to do in your business when you have to be away from the business and the business should keep running? I would not say that you should be away from the business, right? Business cannot run on its own, right? It's very, very clear. Unless you become a business tycoon like Jeff Bezos, right? He's not there everywhere, but what he has done is he's hired a very, very talented and top team, right? But he's involved in the business every day, right? If you think, Edgar, that you can be away from the business and the business should keep running, I don't think so. That is advisable and that is possible. If you are away from the business for long, might as well, there are high chances that business will fall, right? So I would not say, if you're if there are certain circumstances that you have to away from the business, ensure that you have very highly talented team who owns that business, right? Who runs it as his own business. It can be an employee or it can be a partner in a company, or you've kind of given them good equity stakes in the company so that they feel the ownership. Then only it'll work. But the key is, unless you have a very, very good, solid, intelligent, robust team, you cannot run the business. And more so when you're not there, right? So that's one line advice from my side. I have another question from Claire saying that, can you explain what growth hacking is and how young entrepreneurs can harness it to grow their startups? Uh, this word called growth hacking, I assume, I'm really assume that it must have come from one of the hackers who, hacked the financial accounts from around the world, because, whatever we do today by entrepreneur is all growth hacking. You don't realize it, but every small step you do, even for example, you go and talk to your friends and family saying that, hey, you know what, I'm going to working on this product and service. Can you help me find a customer? Can you refer me to your further second line of friends and family? That's growth hacking, right? You're trying to put up a small money yourself, doing a Facebook ad campaign, or your Insta campaign, or you're trying to do Google AdWords campaign. That's also growth hacking, you know. So everything that an entrepreneur does by default is a growth hacking. See, you don't have a big ticket agency with a multi-million-dollar budgets who are running and making a campaign like for the Pepsis and Cokes of the world, right? So for me, growth hacking is something that you try and do very, very frugal. You try to make things viral. So one of the reasons can be, today most of the mobile phones are so smart and they have very good features of making their own videos, right? So can you, from your own mobile phone, create a video? Can be 30-second or 45-second, maybe some live instances that you see which relates to your business. Shoot it down and make it viral, right? So that people start seeing it about you, they start knowing about you. Or you write something very nice, article or a blog which suddenly gets viral because people start talking about it, start responding to it, right? So these are kind of a stuff that is called growth hacking. But there is absolutely no surety which will work, which doesn't work, right? You're just hitting 10 things in the dark. One may hit the target, one may not, all right? So if that hits a target, suddenly the media will write about you. Hey, that entrepreneur did something very frugal, didn't spend a single money. This thing went viral. Because of the virality, he got $1 million of revenue, right? But that's not the norm, right? Maybe 1 in 100 will get that opportunity, or will get that kind of a instances that frugal thing goes viral, and it actually turns out to be a revenue generator for you, right? So my suggestion is, for all the entrepreneurs, do all the wild things. There's nothing called right, nothing called wrong. Sometimes the stupidest of the thing works well. You never know what kind of things just go viral. So use the technology, use your mobile phones to create your own videos. Even if you don't think that you're an accomplished content writer, but you want to write something, write it. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Even if there is a spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes, I've seen these kind of, actually sometimes these kind of articles go much more viral than written by an accomplished content writer, right? So my suggestion to is, don't let your wild thinking stop. Marketing is one thing that you do experiment every day, and sometimes wrong things turns out to be the right one, right? So that's growth hacking, correct? Now I have another question from Aisha Ali. Can you monetize an online TV? If so, how? Well, yes, there are a lot of online specific today, content that comes onto the web channels, right? Again, we have to see which are the channels, and what kind of programs or things uh, are shown there. And then Google AdSense actually works out best, because they are the people who will show you and all those places that works. um, but I'm not too sure, Aisha, is your question that you are an advertiser on an online TV, or you own an online TV, right? If you own an online TV, then yes, you can go and talk to a lot many people, give them a very sweet deal, very deal at a throwaway prices, and make sure that you get some kind of visibility to them. And if you're an advertiser, right, then you have to be very careful in choosing what channel do you use, whether it has to be sport channel or soap operas of the channel, what kind of viewership is there, what is the deal, when is the ad coming, all that stuff, right? I have Mohsin Ayaman from India. He said, I can understand the market strength in India, but how to forecast, understand the market scope at other part of the globe economically remotely? Well, Mohsin, you being from particular country, obviously you know that country well, so you know understand the market strength. But if you have to understand the market scope of other globe economically, you have to first choose which are the countries that you're targeting for. Try and get some reports, because every country will get a lot of reports about how the growth of the consumerism in that country, what is the per capita income, which are the cities which are doing well, what kind of people do well. So ensure that you subscribe to a lot of these intelligent reports, research reports, or if not, it may be just advisable to go and hire a research agency, get a research done, and get the information out of you. Otherwise, you have to spend a lot of time searching on Google. I'm sure there are certain lot of insights that you can get from a particular country through Wikipedias and all that stuff. Well, the answer, one line answer is you have to use the power of internet to get the information. And today, everything is available on this virtual world. I have Jacob from Tanzania. What is the best maneuver for digital marketing to startups, especially from least developing countries? What are digital channels that pays by using them for advertisements? See, I'm sure you're talking in reference to Tanzania. Well, you have to find, see, every country they have, as I said, I was talking in the past, every country will have this own unique feature wherein they say that Google works better there, or Facebook works better there, or Instagram works better there. When you're talking of slightly less developing countries, developed countries, you have to first make a list of what are the social channels or digital channels available there. Maybe you have their own specific, like in, for example, in China, they have a own browser, which probably not being used, not much being used outside of that particular country. So it may be wise to you go use that browser compared to the Google or Microsoft, right, or an Explorer, right? So you have to first ensure that you have a list of channels, digital channels that are available there. Choose only the one which has reach, which has a lot of viewership, which has a lot of usability, and then try and do it rather than just going by the tide. you know uh, Google is not dominant in all the places most of the time, in some countries as well. Then your next question is, what are digital channel that pays by using them for advertisements? See, every digital channel shows ad. Whenever you see any ad in any other digital channel, somebody is paying for it, okay? And the advertiser must have paid for it, right? So I'm not too sure. Facebook, for example, you have to pay to the Facebook. Google, you have to again pay to the Facebook, right? If you're asking specifically that which are the channel where you can earn money out of it, right? As I said in the past, use Google AdSense, uh, they will pay. You can also like in Facebook also, there are a lot of big communities that have been come, but you have to advertise in that particular community. You have to pay for it, and the money, besides going to the Facebook, will also go to the owner of the community or the group that has been created in the Facebook, right? Now we have another question from Jacob. Do you advise startups to operate without a website, maybe do online listings only, and go for the social media and without a website? Well, yes, you can do that to start off with. Maybe you don't have the bandwidth or the money to even create a website, so probably you can create a Facebook page, use it as a website, and start with. Yes, initially it's okay to do that, but in the long run, it's kind of advisable to have a website. You may not have a very evolved website. It can be a very small static website, which has some very basic information, right? Just having online listings out of social media initially for a certain amount of time, it's fine, but long run, I think website is required, because you may not be optimize the digital marketing campaigns without a website. It will be very tough. Okay, can you share some strategies or tools you utilize at Outsourced CMO? Well, Bram, that's a question from Bram. Well, there is nothing standard strategies or tools that I use as an outsourced CMO. See, I tell you what, the outsourced CMO is like. We work as a CMO for not one company but multiple companies. So let's say, for example, if I'm an outsourced CMO, so currently I'm an outsourced CMO for 3 companies at a time. So every company I have to treat it differently, because every company's objective is different, every company's target audience is different, every company's product is different, right? So as a CMO of the organization, I have to take a very intelligent decision as to what is good for them and what is bad for them, right? So there is no definite strategy that I can use. Yes, what I use is a learning from one company to another and to a third one. Like, sometimes when I say, oh man, I did this campaign, but the result was not good, but that doesn't mean that I should not try in the other company, but maybe with some modifications, right? So Bram, as I said, in marketing, there is nothing called standard. There's nothing called one size fits or one marketing strategy that will work. One marketing strategy can be a big disaster, but the same strategy, if implemented differently in other company, can be a big boom, right? So there is it all depends on which country, which geography, which product, what is the target audience, and your strategy has to change accordingly. Same is for the tools. A lot of companies prefer having their own in-house tools, but basic standard ones I've been talking about, which are available in my country, we use them for marketing. It can be anything from Zoho to Lead Squares or Web Engage. So there are many tools, but it all depends on what tools that other country use and what is more popular. So it again, which very much depended on the territory. By the way, I will invite all. I can extend the invitation that you should follow our page, Outsourced CMO India page on LinkedIn, and Outsourced CMO on Facebook, so that you know what kind of stuff that we do as a marketing, and you'll also get a lot of information from there. Especially more on the digital marketing front, because I write a lot of content on marketing related stuff for the benefit of the entrepreneurs, right? So it might just be good for you guys to like the page or follow that page. So I'll repeat, it's Outsourced CMO India, the LinkedIn page, and Outsourced CMO on Facebook. Tyler, when is the best time to look for investment as a business? I've already answered this question, but I quickly repeat myself. Ideally, the best time is that when you have at least 12 months of continuous revenue, top line revenue, which means you have customers who are paying for your product or services continuously for 12 months, so that you have a good stories to say that yes, I am an entrepreneur with a startup, which is working startup, which means people are buying my product and service. And the icing on the cake is that if your bottom line, which is if you have a net profitability, that's the best. But if you can show for the continuous 12 months, and now it's a time that you have to go bigger, which means you have to go on a bigger geography or territory. For that, you need money to scale up. I think that would be the best time. Do we have any more questions on the comment page, or should I take? Okay, let me see. I'll take a question on my own. All right. So, what are the key promotional tools for service-related startup and SMEs in developing countries? Uh, I mean, I always of the firm believer, I always refrain myself from actually recommending any particular single tool to any particular company, because again, it says that, I like, for example, Adobe has a lot of these marketing tools now. They have started to come up with the SMEs, right? And I don't really, the tools are good, but it may not just happen that it may not be very suitable for the kind of company that you are in, right? So there is, as I said in the past, and I'll again reiterate, we have to evaluate every tool depending on what value it brings to the table for the startup, what cost does it ask for using that tool, and what cost benefit in terms of performance marketing it can get. So it also depends on what stage you are in, whether, some of the tools are really fantabulous, but they're quite expensive. So can you afford it? Maybe you'll have to drop that out, right? But in the I would suggest that we have to really see what are the new tools that are available in the market, evaluate them, because sometimes a cheaper tool may not work out as efficient as it can be, because it's not helping out in any of the marketing. But I've been telling in the past, I use a lot of CRM tools. They can be Lead Squad, it can be Zoho, it can be Hootsuite, other stuff. Or most of the companies or startups are now intelligent enough. They build a small in-house tools within their company. For analytics, also we use different kind of tools. Again, it depends on what your need is, right? Every tool has a different niche, every different thing. So unless I actually see what industry and what startup you are in, it's very difficult for me to even recommend any of the tools. I don't want to be marketing a tool of another company without knowing what value it brings to the table for a particular startup. Jacob, can you explain more about SEO and SEM? So SEO is something organic, SEM is something paid. So Google is very smart. See what happens whenever you search anything on the Google, the first 4 or 5 listings or 3 or 4 listings, it will be an ad. When you say ad, which means it's paid, and then you get those non-paid or organic listings, right? So the top 4 where you see ad written on it, which means these are somebody has paid for it, and if there is not AD written on it, which is all organic. Now SEO is something which is a continuous process. You have to keep on injecting, getting out many on-page optimization and off-page by those or create those off-page links, so that the domain authority of your website goes up and the searchability of the website goes up. SEM is all depends on money. You can choose as many number of keywords that you want, bid for it, pay for it, make sure that whenever any user who searches for those keywords, your ad is being showed in the first. But keep in mind the tendency is that if you're not there in the first 2 pages of the search engine, the chances are that 95% people will not even click on that. So the point is that make sure that you are in, at least from the SEM point of view, if you're spending money, make sure that at least you are there in the first 2 pages. Tyler, what is the best time to look for investment as a business? I have already talked about it. I think you just see the recording of the video. If that is available, we can ask the e-community to do it. I've already answered this question very much in detail. Any more questions specifically, or let me check if there is another question that I can take. One of the questions: what steps should an entrepreneur take to ensure an effective digital marketing campaign? So as I said, the very key step is you have to have a very good website. The crawlability of the website has to be extremely good. You should have social media presence in most of the channels, because sometimes what happens is, there may be a chances that from your marketing campaigns, you may also want traffic to be diverted to your social media pages, right? So a good website, a good robust website, uh, which has high searchability, crawlability, and domain authority is very nice. Have all your social media channels updated, whether it is Twitter, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Reddit or Quora. Make sure that all the pages are updated, so that you can, when you when you do the marketing campaigns, you should exactly know where you want the customers or users who are searching about you to go to it. Should I should I go to the website, or should I go to the other social media pages? So these are the basic mandatory stuff, or I would say a hygiene that you should have before you start any digital marketing campaign, especially the paid ones. Uh, what marketing tools or strategies can a young entrepreneur use to make their business indispensable to the customers? The business is never indispensable. You may find today, one particular company is indispensable, but very soon the competition will crop up, right? The only way that you can make indispensable is ensure that you communicate to your customer. It's not only about selling, it's not only about communicating, you're also adding value just beyond your product or a thing. Ensure that customer service is the first important mission, vision, or a DNA of the company, right? So if you think that, even if there is no, let's assume that you are in a highly monopolist environment, wherein you have no other competition, and once the customer buys, he's kind of stick to your product or service. But if you don't treat the customer well, trust me, the human nature is something. He say that I will not use that product. I might as well live without having that product, but I will not use it because he's not being treated well. So if you have to really make the business indispensable to the customers or to the market, please ensure that you not only do effective marketing or selling, but post selling as well, in the sense that, uh, treat the customer even after he paid, that he's still your a revenue generator customer for future, right? Make sure that he doesn't have any issues. If there are any issues with the product or service, it should be solved within a specific period of time, right? So my suggestion is that never assume that you are indispensable. There's always a room that somebody would get in and take the business away from you. So you have to be always on the toes. Treat customer as a god, because he's the person who's giving the revenue, and because of the revenue the company is running, and because of the company the salaries of the staff is being paid for, and because of that company you are an entrepreneur. So if there are no customers, there will be no business, right? If that is something which is there in the mind, you will continue innovate, you will continue explore new things, you will continue expand, giving better services, better product to the customers. That's the only way to become indispensable. Otherwise, there is no technology, no process that can make you indispensable. I have a question from Ambe. What is the best strategy to keep a customer? The only best strategy to keep a customer is to keep him happy, right? Happiness. We all want to become happy, right? So a customer should feel satisfied that yes, the product that he's bought is at a reasonable price. It adds reasonable value to his life or to the objective that he's bought for. If a person has bought a mobile phone, now the objective is that he wants to use a mobile phone for talking or for other texting or maybe for some other purpose. But if he thinks that the feature that he's expecting and the price that he's paid is good, the after sales service is good, the warranty and the service part is good, he will be happy, right? And if he's happy, he will always come back to you. Concentrate on making customer happiness, customer success. If a customer is successful or customer is happy, rest assured, even God cannot stop him from coming back to you. Right? That's the only way. And ensure that customer success is also marketed well in the social media so that other people see it. And if other people see a customer success story which is genuine, authentic, they will feel good about your company. Your brand integrity goes up. There's something called brand and something called brand integrity, right? We know this company will not deliver a wrong product. This company will not deliver a inferior product, right? That is something called brand integrity, right? So these are the things that will get your score higher on the brand integrity part. Keep the customer happy, make the customer successful. If these two things are there, your company will always be successful. And I don't need to tell you why big companies like Apple or Samsung or LG are successful, because they have ensured year on year delivered good products, good customer service. They have made customer happy, and that's why people come back to them. And in the smaller way, you can, even if you have 100 customers, make sure that those 100 are happy. Right. So there is a blog on my website. Also, I've shared that blog on my LinkedIn, Facebook pages, and Medium, and all the stuff about why digital marketing is important for a small medium enterprise. See, sometimes what happens, there are two types of small medium enterprise. There can be a small medium enterprise which has been working for past 20 years, 30 years, because the business has been running from father to son to grandson. This has been passing. Now, what has happened in the last 20 years, the world has changed very, very dramatically, right? Sometimes, the old businesses, established businesses, are finding it tough to survive, just because the newer business people have come in and swarmed the whole industry with a lot of techniques and digital areas and all that stuff, right? So the older businesses, even if they're small, they have categorized as a small medium enterprise, and which has been running for quite a number of years, 20, 30, 40 years. But if they don't adapt now, they will soon shut down, right? And this is what I have kind of put it in my blog, why digital marketing is important for small medium enterprise. I think we can ask the EA community to share that blog on the Facebook page as well. But otherwise, as I told you, you can go to my Facebook pages or LinkedIn page, which is LinkedIn page is Outsourced CMO India. Facebook page is Outsourced CMO. You'll find that blog. I'll be more than happy that you guys go read over it, and then ask me questions from there. I'll be more than happy to answer. All right, I'll take one last question from Ambe. What is the best way to make a startup known without spending too much on advert as a startup, looking at the fact that they first face the challenge of a capital? Absolutely right, Ambe, because it's not very easy for a startup. So, first get your expectations right in your mind. You're a startup, so don't expect that the whole world will know about you, right? Uber was also a startup, but it's been there for many, many years, and it has, taken so much time, to reach to every part of the world. So make sure that you define the territory. For example, if you're working in a startup in a particular city, ensure that that city becomes your world. Now, obviously, the only way that you can make yourself visible is make yourself viral through social media. Now, how do you make viral? Get as many followers, as many links. Ask your friends, right, to share, because as you share, it works on a multiplier effect. So if you post anything in any of the social media channels, the reach can be only 10. But if there are 10 shares, then it becomes 10 into 10, which is 100, right? Or you better make your product so fantabulously amazing that they just love it. If you're able to do that, these are the two things. So it has to be a combination of a very high quality product or a service, and how you are able to fan it out in the social media channels initially with the help of your friends and family. Because when I started my company after working for 20 years in the corporate sector, the first thing I did is I asked all my friends, hey, man, I'm asking you, I'm requesting you, or I'm forcing you, whatever you want to take it, please follow me on Facebook, please follow me on LinkedIn, please follow me on Twitter. That helped me, right? Because what I happened to do is, initially I was able to get organic thing, people to follow me, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, the first thing that an entrepreneur should do is that every entrepreneur should be shameless, right? You ask shamelessly for help, right? You don't have to be really worried about what other people think about it. In entrepreneurship, everybody has to be very open, vocal. Even if other person don't feel good about you, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Ask for help. Please ask as many influencers, as many friends and family to follow you, to share what you're writing, so that it manifolds in the social media. That's the only way that you can do it. Because if you have to actually do a lot of advertisements, even advertisements in social media like Google or Facebook is becoming very, very expensive now. It's not that cheap as it used to be about a couple of years back, because they have become very smart. They know how to extract money from the pockets of the advertisers, right? So make sure that you go frugal. I have told Ambe in the past, in my session in the below. Today, with the advent of mobile phones and smartphones, maybe you can click a small video of yourself, video of how the product is made, video of how the customer testimonials are. Even if, let's say, one customer buys a product, just open your camera on the phone, ask him to speak something about your product, whether it's good or bad. Create a video, post it on Facebook or Instagram. It just goes viral. Yeah, because when people say this guy is actually doing it live, it's not fabricated, it's not curated, people like that. People just like that, right? So yeah, it's a long, hard way. There is no shortcuts to it. Keep on trying, my friend. You never know. I've always believed in this thing, and this is something which I truly believe and I have an experience. There's nothing called right, there's nothing called wrong in the marketing. Right can be wrong, wrong can be right. So don't feel shy. Don't be afraid saying that, oh, I don't think that this is wrong. You never know, it might just turn out to be right. Keep on doing it. I'm sure when everybody is smart and intelligent enough to figure it out, what are the things that they can do themselves without spending money externally. And trust me, the way you say that I'm going to do 5 things on my own, right? Even you can edit videos today without taking the help of a professional